So right here for our cat lab, we are going to be on this Grand Cherokee. And if you come along with me, so this car, even though it's a V8, it's only. So even though this car is a V8, it theoretically should have two. There's only one cat, so we're gonna take temperatures before the cat and after the cat. So right now it's at like 66 degrees, 67 degrees, which is room temperature, which is to be expected. But we're gonna see what it does after running it for a bit. Right now we're underneath the car. It's been running for a few minutes. We're gonna check the pre-cat and post-cat temperatures. So when we first started, it was around 150, and now we're gonna see what it is. So it's around 230. So as you can see, this is before we pulled the coil packs to create a misfire. So 230 before, and here's the post cat. So it's 190. So it's cooler after the cat and hotter before. And we're gonna see what happens when we pull the ignition coil and create a misfire. Theoretically, it should run hotter because of the unburned fuel that's leaving the engine. And yeah.
So what we got going on here is we just took our readings from cold start to about 10 minutes. You can see we started off here on the pre-side at about 138 degrees after 1 minute of starting it. And on the post side we were at about 108 degrees. And then we'll jump forward here to about 10 minutes. You can see we're peaking out at pre at 282 and post at 226. So I'm looking at these numbers. This is under normal operating conditions. There was no RPMs given. The car essentially sat and idled for about 10 minutes. What we would expect to see though, if you were looking for something like a bad catalytic converter, you would expect to see maybe a little bit higher post temperatures, actually significantly higher post temperatures. So much so that they would probably be higher than your pre-cat temperatures.
So right now we're going to do the 2500 RPM test, and to keep it at a steady RPM, we put a little piece of paper in between the stop of the throttle body cable. So right here, it's gonna hold it at 2500 RPM, and for 5 minutes, every minute we'll take a reading, and we're gonna see what that looks like.
So we're looking at our data here from the pre and post at 2500 RPM for about 5 minutes. You can see we started off somewhere around 420 after 1 minute, and then 480 on the post side, and ended up around 544 on the pre side and 590 on the post side. So if you come around here and have a look here, this is actually talked about in the Halderman chapters, and you can see here on this diagram. This chapter actually specifically states that the temperature of the outlet should be at least 10% hotter than the temperature of the inlet. So if the converter was not working, the inlet temperature would be hotter than the outlet temperature. So with that information in mind, and the data that we've presented here, it's safe to say that this catalytic converter is functioning as good as it should.
So right here we're back on the Jeep Grand Cherokee with the 4.7, and today we're going to create a misfire. So in theory, if we plug one of the coils, it should create a misfire, and because of that, the cat should get hotter because of the unburned fuel. That unburned fuel is going to leave, obviously, the combustion chamber. It's going to go through the cat and combust in there, and therefore increasing the temperature of that cat. So right now, if you can hear it, if you can see it actually, the cat's shaking a bit. That's because the car is misfiring. And like I said before, it should be hotter now that we caused the misfire. So we're gonna check right before. So before it was like 220, 230. Now it's close to 260, 258. And before, after the cat, it was 190. And right now it's 230. So obviously our theory was right. It's jumping up way past. Yeah, good reading. it's jumping way past 190. Now it's 250. So by creating that misfire, we made a pretty good reading of it now that it's hotter. And yeah. So right now we're going to bump the RPMs up on this Jeep to 2,500 RPM. We did the previous test with it at idle and a misfire, and the cat temperatures increased a bit. Outlet was around 250, inlet was around 260, 270. We're gonna bump it up past idle and see what's gonna happen. Theoretically, it should obviously get even hotter now with the misfire. And now that it's running at 2,500 RPM, there's more unburnt fuel. Meaning that the cat's gonna get even hotter. Now the Jeep is running at 2,000 RPMs, and we're gonna see how much hotter the cat got before and after. So right now 400-ish, 415, and after the cat, it should be hotter than the inlet, and I was right. It's 560, 570. So now that the Jeep is running at a higher RPM with more unburnt fuel, it's running even hotter than it was at idle, and you can smell it too.